Hi there everyone, Lars here with another Nagatoro review and analysis brought to you by Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And in the penultimate episode of Season 2, we get a very interesting turn of events. This might just be the most laid-back episode of the entire season thus far, and yet it is one of the most relatable and one of the most important thus far as well, which is a pretty grand claim on my part because there doesn't seem like there's a whole lot happening. But oh, you wait, there is a reason for this. Remember, the story of Please Don't Tease Me, Miss Nagatoro is all about taking a very toxic relationship and transforming it into a wholesome romance between Senpai and Nagatoro. And in order to do this, you have to wade through the pools and ponds of awkwardness as feelings start going on out there and you start navigating, what does this really mean? And do I really understand what's going on here? And what is this person trying to say? This happens in all relationships. Too often, stories like to just leap to the good steamy bits or to the, hey, they're now in a relationship and everything is just working out so well. Don't you just love it? Well, if you want to realistically engage in any sort of romantic relationship within fiction, you have to show how you get there. You can't just leap on to the fulfilling parts. If you do that, sure, yeah, you get your wonderful fluff, but then you're actually missing out on all of the substance. It's like having a fantastic feast before you and you leap for the dessert. Oh, the dessert is fantastic, trust you me. But what really makes the feast fulfilling is that you eat the whole thing, or at least you eat portions of the entire feast leading up to the crowning dessert at the very end. And one of the things that we have to deal with is we have to deal with those vegetables in the middle of the feast. This stuff right here, where Nagatoro and Senpai are trying to navigate how they actually feel and how they should communicate now that their feelings are out in the open. So it's very clear that Senpai likes Nagatoro, and he would like to progress his relationship with her. And Nagatoro is very obvious and open, saying, I want to kiss you. So, well, what are we going to do now? This is where things get very interesting in this very almost lazy episode. And that is that we have the repercussions of all of the previous teasings and misunderstandings from seasons 1 through 2 coming to a head in a fantastic way. Nagatoro's being absolutely open with her feelings and with her intentions. Senpai understands that, and yet he can't bring himself to believe it. And you might say, oh, this is just extending the plot. Hey, stay with me for a brief moment right here. If you are in high school and someone who has been a bully to you or has been teasing you incessantly begins to show any sort of interest in you, sure, you might pick up on it, but are you going to immediately trust that, hey, is this for real right here? And you might be wondering, am I just reading into it? Have I just been around this person for so long that well, familiarity not only breeds contempt, but it breeds interest, and now I'm just interested in this person. I've gotten to know them. Maybe I'm just the one developing feelings, and through that lens of my own feelings, I'm interpreting something that's very clearly not romantic. What do I do? Senpai is lost and confused and isn't exactly sure how he should proceed, which is why he's being encouraged to go out on a date with her, but he's not exactly sure how he should go about it. And so that's why you have that really hilarious conversation of misunderstandings. Hey, Nagatoro, where would you like to go? What would you like to do? Well, I'd like to go to Everest. I'd like to go on a safari. I like to go on the Amazon. All of these things that Nagatoro would want to do. She is teasing him. She knows that he's trying to get to a point. She's already told him, just get to the point already. But because he's not doing that, she's teasing him, which is not the right thing for her to do, and is thus just creating more misunderstandings. This particular situation should not be happening between them at this stage in their relationship, and yet it is, because it is the natural consequence of all the misunderstandings and teasings between them. And let's also add to this right here that their school lives and their own personal choices, their own personal lives, are leading them to be separate. This happens all the time in real life. And that's one of the reasons why I enjoy this episode so much. You might enjoy being around someone. You might love being around that person, and you have spent all these fantastic times with each other. But life happens. How many best friends have any of us cycled through? How many crushes have any of us cycled through? And it's not because, oh, we were let down, or we were betrayed, or that person was fake, or I took my shot and missed. That happens, sure, but more often than not, in fact, way more often than all the other options, is that just life happens. As you decide, I want to join this club, I want to do this, I want to work here, I actually want to get to know these people and I become friends with them. It creates divides in your life, and then the people that you thought you were really close to, you drift apart from them over time. And here we have Senpai doing his thing with his art club, now with a new member, and Nagatoro is pursuing judo. This means that now their lives are going in opposite directions. And even though they still want to be around each other, well, they now have obligations and commitments. This means that they can't spend as much time around each other. And so the question is, will they now slowly drift apart, or will they now take the necessary leap to bring themselves closer together? And they decide they're going to try to make do with what little time they have to bring themselves closer together. Well, that then only helps to amplify the misunderstandings, because now they only have so much time with each other, they can't work everything out within an entire episode's length, they only have a little bit of time together. Well, there's all of these misunderstandings and their consequences that still need to be cleared up, and oh boy, you don't have enough time. This again happens in real life. If you're not spending a whole lot of time with someone, it makes a simple misunderstanding between you to quickly create a mountain out of a molehill. And so what we get with this particular episode is just a fantastic flow of the natural consequences of both the main characters' decisions. That's what this episode is. It is a slice of life episode that, rather than focusing on the cuteness and fluffiness which most slice of life stories do, instead it actually deals with the very real happenings and misunderstandings and consequences and events that happen in anyone's life. This might just be one of the most relatable episodes of Miss Nagatoro that I have seen, and one of the most relatable episodes of any show, just because it feels so real. If you haven't been there before, you either have lived a very charmed life or you have lived no life at all. Now, what brings off the sweet payoff in this episode, because this episode is ultimately a setup episode for the finale, but this episode itself has its own brilliant payoff, because as Nagatoro and Senpai are walking home together and they're discussing where would Nagatoro like to go, and she's teasing him, Senpai could very easily just continue going on home and the conversation would be dead and there would be no date. However, Senpai is thinking about things as he's going his opposite way. He has made his choice and it looks like the date ain't going to happen. Well, he quickly is thinking about, what do I know about Nagatoro? What has she said? And he then gets some inspiration when he sees a little penguin saying, hey, there's going to be construction here. And he's like, oh, she said she wanted to see penguins. What can we do that involves penguins? Well, there's an aquarium. Rushes on back, asks Nagatoro out on a date to go to the aquarium to go see penguins. And this is just such a cute and awesome scene because it pays off on the ridiculous conversation that they've had. It redeems all of the awkwardness that we've been experiencing this episode. It progresses the plot, and it shows that Senpai is really taking note of the things that Nagatoro is saying. He's no longer just putting up a wall to endure all of the teasings. He is learning. And it's great character progression. It's great payoff. It's small, but it works for how small this episode is in comparison to all the other adventures that they've already had. And it's nice to have this kind of an episode because you sometimes need to take a step back from all of the big grand misunderstandings, the teasings, the romance, to just enjoy what regular everyday to-day life is like. Now then, some great writing advice to actually get out of this episode is that in order to make any romance work, you need to have these moments where characters are just going through everyday things, learning about each other, learning to be with each other, and there's nothing grandiose about whatever it is that they're going through. You need to have those moments because life is not full of big moments every single day. Instead, it's about making the most of those small moments. And some of the best romances out there do this. But also, like Please Don't Tease Me, Miss Nagatoro, they don't make those small moments the massive focus. You need to have them. You need to balance out these smaller moments, these smaller episodes, with then the big stuff, like the date that comes before, or the challenge with Nagatoro saying, I'm going to kiss you, Senpai, or will you kiss me if I beat my rival in judo? You need to have those big moments, and they need to be balanced out by an appropriate amount of the smaller details. It is so dang easy as a writer to get caught up in the writing up of every single day of my characters. This is what they're doing this day, on Monday, then on Tuesday, then on Wednesday, then on Thursday, then on Friday, then on Saturday. There is an audience for those kinds of stories, but the vast majority of people, of readers and viewers, don't want that. Instead, what they want is they want solid progression. So you slow down your story at certain intervals to show the slower parts of life and to show how they're now interacting with each other, what is their romance like, and you use those smaller moments then to set up bigger payoff down the road. That is how you write excellently balanced romances. Well, there's not a whole lot more to say about this particular episode. I'm really looking forward to the date episode, to the finale for this season, because it is precious in so many ways. I love this part of the manga, and I'm really looking forward to what they do here in the anime. So until that episode, if you'd like more insights into Please Don't Tease Me, Nagatoro, you can check out our other videos that we've done here, or if you're looking for more writing advice, please check out our other videos on this channel as well as our podcast episodes. Links for them will be in the description. You can also support us by checking out the books that we've published. We've got links for them over at our Amazon pages, and they are fantastic stories. If you've enjoyed Please Don't Tease Me, Nagatoro, then I highly encourage looking up Bleed, Steam, and Steel. I wrote some fantastic little romances there into that particular story, which I hope that you love. They're not quite so teasing as the dynamic that we have between Nagatoro and Senpai, but I'm pretty certain that you'll appreciate them and love them all the same. And until the next video, y'all, thank you for joining us on this fantastic adventure that we call writing. Looking forward to the season finale for Please Don't Tease Me, Nagatoro Season 2, and tschüss.